Have you ever wondered if that voice inside your head is your intuition guiding you, or whether it's just your ego keeping you stuck? Well, in this video, I'm going to discern the difference for you because so many people confuse the two. I find that we're told to trust our gut, but when our minds are racing and our bodies feel stressed and our gut is all tied up in knots, how on earth can you tell if it's actually your gut, your intuition, or if it's your ego, which is trying to kind of keep you there, keep you stuck, and keep you safe? I don't believe that the ego is the enemy. In fact, I think it is crucial for us to survive. I think it is an element of us incorporating our individuation. So our souls coming down through the ethers and into this individual body has come from unity consciousness into individual consciousness. And the ego is a really, really powerful vehicle for us to know ourselves as an individual because it leads to so many rich life lessons to be an individual, to be separate from the whole, right? And the ego helps us do that. But our intuition is an entirely separate beast. And in this video, I want to make sure that you know the difference between the two. Once you learn the cues of each, you will be able to tell instantly which one is talking to you when. I've guided women leaders, visionaries, and change makers through this exact process, and they've been able to move from confusion and second guessing themselves all the time through to real clarity and embodied knowing that, yes, this is my intuition guiding me on the path that I need to follow. So, our ego is really designed to ensure our survival. It is ensuring our survival as a species, our survival as an individual being. It provides us with the knowing that we are an individual in this world. And I don't believe in criticizing it or demonizing it or telling it to go away or trying to distract it with practices that cut it off. I think it creates more struggle to do that. The ego is like a security guard that actually needs to be assured that, what is entering is safe and what is entering the system is something that is not to be feared and that, you can welcome it in. So I really want us to first be in this state of knowing that any kind of demonization is not helpful for the ego, and it will probably make it arc up even more, probably make it even more angry, right? The security guard being tussled with at the entrance to the club is not going to let you in, right? You kind of want to butter it up and reassure it that it's okay. Intuition is very much not a security guard. Intuition is a quiet, steady voice that is gentle and it is there and it is loving. And it feels grounded, expansive, and sure. It is never frantic. And the important thing here is to know that the intuition appears, fortunately or unfortunately, when we turn down the noise in our system, when we turn down the noise in our bodies and in our brains, which is why practices like meditation are so popular and embodiment and movement practices are so popular. We want to clear the noise from our system, clear the noise from our brains for a moment to let this quiet whisper of our intuition arise, to let it move us, to let ourselves tune in to that voice more easily and with more clarity. And the good news is that the more and more that we do this, like any muscle, the more and more we hear our intuition loudly, clearly. We get those instinctual yes or no's that will move us. But without doing that, without actually allowing for that clarity to arrive, we will tend to be in a tussle with our ego mind more often than not. And it will be about whether or not we listen to that ego mind, or we're in some kind of like a distraction or numbing out of that ego. And we teeter totter between the two. Listen to the ego, shut it up by numbing it out, or, sort of distracting it. But we don't actually get underneath into the intuition, into that intuitive knowing sensation in our bodies. To familiarize you with the ego's cues, they are loud, urgent, often fear based, often repetitive and focused on what if it goes wrong? What if something goes wrong? Because the whole point of the ego is, we've gotten this far and we haven't died. So if we do anything else, and that means even anything else that is positive, that's great for us, it's still scary for the ego to do something that's different. So expanding into unknown territory is gonna turn the ego's warning bells on. And so the what if something goes wrong voice is a really good um, indicator that you're connecting into the ego voice and not into the intuitive knowing space. Whereas intuition, it's calm, it's quiet, it's certain. It often comes in flashes depending on your energetic orientation and like the makeup of your design. It could be soft nudges, it could feel expansive, but it doesn't feel wrong, bad, or contracting. Like it doesn't, that's not what it is, right? That is not, that gnawing sensation is not your intuition. I often find that when a client is tuning into, say, doing something a little bit out of their comfort zone, and they start to second guess themselves, they start to question it, they start to go, oh, I don't know if that this speaking gig is, and they'll start to think of all the reasons why they shouldn't do it, and then they might even like start to whip up a little bit of internal tension around it, and then it sinks into their gut, and then they go, oh, my gut's telling me that I shouldn't do it, right? That that gut sensation when you are in some kind of like a knotted tension space, and sort of talking yourself out of moving a little bit out of your comfort zone into that growth zone area. If you're trying to talk yourself out of that, that's usually your ego talking and not your intuition. So really start to think in the sensations in your body that you are feeling when you receive the message. And that will usually tell you whether it's intuition or ego. So some practices for you to discern the two. Really get into that nervous system regulation. I know it's a bit of a buzzword nowadays, but it really is. Doing some simple practices. Get out on the earth, go sit, go breathe with the earth, lay up against a tree, lean up against a tree, breathe, plug into a meditation, a guided meditation track. Allow yourself to just be in a quiet space for a few moments. Breathe. You may want to take some sort of non-linear movement, do some dance, connect into yourself without the external influences of the world. Get soaked up in nature. Let yourself really ground and get a clearer signal. And the clearest signal is always going to be when you're in nature. I 100% think that it's not that you can't get a clear signal inside a building, but there is a saying, I cannot remember who it was that said this, but it was, never believe a thought that occurs to you indoors. So if you have a thought, take it on a walk, take it out into nature, and you're trying to, if you're trying to ruminate over something, get out into nature. It will clear things for you. It will clear you on multiple levels. Get out, let yourself feel, and create some kind of clarity in your system so that there is that space to hear the quiet voice, space to tap into that inner knowing. You can also use my guided meditation. It's free in the description below. Just click through. It's called Tune Out the World, Tune Into You. And that's going to help you tune into your intuition as well. Another practice you can use is a body scan. So just sitting somewhere quiet, closing down your eyes, and just scan through. You may like to place a hand on your body, maybe on your heart, and down on your belly. Breathe and feel into the areas of your body that are giving you signals at this point in time. Are they contracted or are they rested and expanded? And these are going to give you clues, because if there's constriction and contraction, there is likely some information there. And if you know about the chakras, you know about the energy centers, depending on where you feel constriction and contraction, that could also give you clues on what it is that is actually going on for you, and maybe what energy centers are blocked and need your attention. But I find that with the ego, there's usually contraction and constriction around the solar plexus. This is the area where it's like your personal bodyguard. And if you're feeling contraction in that area, there's probably something here that is related to the ego's protection. And this is nuanced, because we don't want you to just override a sense of wanting to protect yourself, but let yourself rest and relax and breathe into this area. Breathe, feel, create some space in this area, release some of the tension, and just ask this area, what is it that you trying to tell me? What are you trying to let me know, my love? Like, speak to it like a loving child. Let yourself be in communion with it. And, maybe it's going to communicate back to you with something like, I'm scared, or listen to that voice and see if that voice is coming from a place of deep wisdom and guidance, or if it's coming from fear and coming from a space of of not confident in your own abilities to move through something. And you'll be able to discern if it's intuition or ego. So the third practice that I'd love for you to try and incorporate into discerning between your ego and your intuition is journaling. Journaling can be such an easy way to figure out whether or not this is like, sort of the loud story of the ego or the quiet whisper of the intuition. And just write out what it is that you're concerned about. And as you write, you're probably going to see very clearly what it is that's like your deep knowing versus that loud story of like why you can't do it or why it shouldn't happen or whatever it is. And you'll be able to more clearly see in black and white what it is that's going on in your system, and more deeply back that intuition. Now, a bonus tip for you: the sooner that you back your intuition, the sooner you instate a level of self-trust in your system, in your body, the sooner you're going to see magic flow from the intuitive nudges that you follow in your system. The self-trust, as it builds, is like a magic formula for ensuring brilliance in this world. The level that you betray yourself, however, so when you do not listen to your intuition, when you do not listen to that quiet, sure voice within your system, and it might not, it doesn't sound necessarily like someone basically speaking to you, but that quiet knowing within your body, within your system, the more you do not listen to it, the more you betray it, the more noise you whip up in your system, and the more chaos and karma you start to create in your world, because ultimately your soul wants you to connect into your intuition. It wants you to know that you have a deep wisdom and a well of wisdom that you can connect into, and it's constantly pointing you to that. So when you betray yourself and you don't let yourself follow your intuition and back yourself in whatever it is it's calling you to do, you're going to find that you get caught up in cycles and circles and spirals of learning this over and over again, learning to tune into yourself better. So I highly recommend that you incorporate some of these practices, or whatever practices feel good to you, to really get a connected line into your intuition and have a respectful relationship with your ego, knowing that it is serving a beautiful purpose, but that it really is just trying to keep you safe. And you can modulate between the two. You can modulate between that deep knowing and the wisdom of your intuition and that lovely, darling ego of yours that is just trying to keep you alive and safe. I really hope this helps. If you would like to further connect in, obviously go down to that description below and click on the link. Tune Out the World, Tune Into You. It's free. Download it, enjoy it. It's one of the top picks on Insight Timer. And thank you so much for being here today. Sending you so much love. Bye.